The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, thanks. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico DeHaan and Paige Clark.
Good morning. I'm Nico DeHaan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world to regain our rights and freedoms and get some of our liberties back. And, it's all about our natural health here. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater, folks. 67 degrees and a little fog in here, but it's going to break through, have some nice sunny day, getting up to the 80s about noon, and then in the afternoon about mid-80s, I would say. So it's a beautiful time of year to come down to Florida. So if you're getting stranded up north in the cold, and there are some cold areas up there, come on down. Enjoy the weather down here. I want to remind you, we got a brand new Health Signals newsletter, number 21 for the year here. Good stuff in here this month, folks. The Paleo Diet in 6 Easy Steps is kind of a motivational guide. So if you've ever been stuck and you want to go more towards the paleo or a natural, unprocessed type of diet, this is 6 easy steps to do that. Some other stuff in here would be talking about the advent of agriculture and the revolution on the human, the revolution on the evolution, in a sense. What effect that the agriculture had on us, and it's quite a big effect for sure. And then the question is, did our hunter and gatherers have it right? Some electric universe stuff, positive, negative, or neutral, space radiation, all of it matters. It's a good idea to know what you're getting into. And with the grand solar minimum coming that we talk about often on this show, it's a good time to look at this and see where the radiation is coming from and whether it's good for you or not. Also, a great video in here for you, too. Things that are in here, let me see here. Electric University theory, and seems like the paradigm is really shifting. We're getting a lot of news these days from the space industry talking about some things that really don't make sense, and they all do correlate to the electric universe theory. None of this is a surprise to the electric universe theory, but the conventional wisdom of thinking that our sun is an atomic bomb going off continuously instead of being just a conduit for the energy that comes from space to the sun radiating back to us. That's the way that we think in the electric universe that the sun works. So want to educate yourself. This is a good article to do it in. Some articles here, why we walk on our heels instead of our toes. We discussed that, I think, last week. And running shoes, how it changed the way we run and why a lot of people are going back. Got some good recipe here with, if you like ribeye steak. This is a good recipe here, and I have some great exercises on foam roller post-work recovery. And the kind of roller you use impacts the workout. So there's a lot of good ones out there, and I go over some of those things. And then on the last page, I have, let's see, where is that? Right there. How a study reshapes the understanding of the climate change's impact on early societies. The reason I think this is important, of course, is because we're going into the grand solar minimum, and I think you need some knowledge in here. If you're seeing all these storms coming and more upheaval with hurricanes and probably volcanism, all kinds of different climate things are happening, and I have a few articles related on that. But it's a real good video on here, so check that out, please. Page is out today, so I'll be handling everything from here. I really wanted to talk about the impact of processed foods to begin with. You've probably heard 100 times avoid processed foods as much as possible, but really why do we want to avoid processed food? And a broad definition of processed food is that the food is changed from its natural raw state. But for this purpose of this show, we want to consider that processed food is food altered chemically by additives such as flavors, flavor enhancers, binders, colors, fillers, preservatives, stabilizers, emulsifiers, etc., or which has been manufactured through combining them or using some other processing methods like heat and things like that. Generally speaking, if ingredients aren't natural, then we can consider food to be processed. So I can give you, for instance, that if you go to McDonald's or Burger King or any of the fast food places, all the food there is processed. I mean, the meat is processed. A lot of fillers are used in those hamburgers. We know that the chicken nuggets, the chickens are sent to China, then brought back over here as nuggets, and then cooked on premises. So they've gone through quite a process there. So we always say stay away from fast food. That's the main reason here. So if you read, let's see here, let's take it. Yeah, so let's take the heat, for instance, because this is one of the major things used in a lot of processed food. If you've canned anything, most of the time the manufacturers will use heat in canning. So if you read the instructions for a gelatin recipe like Jell-O, you'll see a warning, do not use fresh pineapple. The reason is that the enzyme papain is in fresh pineapple prevents the gelatin from gelling. But you can use canned pineapple, and the gelatin will not Jell-O, or will Jell-O, I should say. The reason is that the heat necessary in the canning process inactivates the papain enzymes. The processing technique of canning destroys living enzymes and whatever is being canned. So naturally, canned food is a good thing to use if you're starving, if you're prepping, things like this. There's lots of other alternatives like dried, things like that, but canning is one good way. You can keep food for 5 years, sometimes 10 years, depending on the process. So if you're going to do some type of prepping, canned food is going to be in there. What we're saying is here, don't use this as a staple of your food when everything is going well. So in the natural world, we want to eat uncanned, unprocessed food. We want food to look like the food it is, that's for sure. So the idea of consuming unprocessed food is really the foundation of what people call the raw food diet. Raw food folks focus on eating unprocessed food, preferably organic, no radiation, no preservatives, no pesticides, no GMOs. They don't eat food heated over 118 degrees because heat kills natural enzymes needed for the digestion of food. Of course, we know that cooking food has really helped us as Homo sapiens down the evolutionary path because that's what helps break down a lot of this plant food and even the meat. Meat is much easier absorbed when it's raw, but vegetables are not. Vegetables have, we talked about this last week with Paige, all these different fibers and things that are in there are lessened when you cook them. So it makes it easier to digest, and if it's easier to digest, it goes through our system faster. We don't have anything clogging up the core, and everything goes through nicer, and that's what we want. It makes sense. It is further believed that enzymes depleted food accelerate the aging process. Heating food changes the pH, makes it acidic, and makes your body a welcoming feeding ground for disease. Heating food converts easy-to-absorb minerals to inorganic, hard-to-absorb minerals. So that's not really good. So stick around, folks. I'll be right back. I'd like to remind you, pick up some Primal Edge, our one-shot wonder. It is over 310 organic, cell-ready, liquid ingredients that you need. So pick that up. We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, Life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back, folks. Reminder to pick up my Health Signals newsletter. Brand new one out, number 21 for the year. And I think you'll find a lot of good articles in there. Trying to bring it up here, but something is stuck, so no problem. Let's get back to what we were talking about, the impact of processed food. So we talked a little bit about the heat. Think about this. A raw seed will sprout and grow, whereas a cooked or processed seed will not sprout. And, of course, it won't grow either. For days, even weeks, raw, unripe fruit will continue to ripen. Heat-processed food begins to decay within days. So much for the heat. Another thing is place a seed in the room in a normal water. Put it on the stovetop if you like. If you put one in a microwave, interesting, and you give it a little blast, that seed is not going to grow. If you place water in a microwave, and I think this was done by like a 7-year-old girl in one of these science classes, and she put the water in the microwave, buzzed it for 30 seconds, and then used it to grow her plants, and none of the plants would grow, whereas the other plants that she had was just normal water, and the plants grow. So microwaving kills the enzymes, it kills life, so do not use that. Gentle heating of things doesn't destroy as much, but it does soften it up, so these vegetables and these types of things that are hard to digest in its raw form are going to be much easier. Okay. Of course, processed food doesn't stop at heating. I was on a plane once, and he said the flight attendant distributed these bags of chips. They used to do this. I don't know if they do this anymore. But, of course, he was eating the chips, and he got a reaction because of the MSG in it. MSG is one of the things that is pretty much in a lot of processed foods. A lot of restaurants even use this as a food enhancer to give it a little more taste, a little more spice. You often see it, of course, in Asian restaurants being used, but a lot of people are not using them. But it's really good, not good. So the MSG has been shown to induce migraine headaches, faster heart rate, skin rashes, irritable bowels, seizure, depression, and other MSG-induced maladies. It's identified as the fifth taste, sometimes referred to as umami. Many MSG-sensitive folks claim that there is no taste, but for me, he says he gets a little tingle. I think I can taste it too. Our mouth and bodies contain these receptors, and upon the digesting of the MSG, it leaves us with a perception that the food is being ingested with MSG, had a larger, long-lasting taste than without it. So what it does, it extends the taste buds sensitivity, I guess it is. The processing of foods reaches far and wide. Beyond canning, it can be included in freezing, refrigeration, dehydration, aseptic processing, and other things. Please know there are plenty of processed foods that are not bad for your health. For example, milk is pasteurized to kill the bacteria and homogenized to keep the fats from separating, while some prefer it raw. Raw milk can lead to other foodborne illnesses, none that I know of, though. Another example is frozen vegetables. Freezing vegetables preserves the vitamins and minerals and makes them convenient to cook and eat all year. Fruit and vegetable juice is also an example of healthy food, although I don't consider personally that fruit juice or vegetable juice as something that I want to consume, because it does spike insulin quite a bit, and then you're in that whole train of going up and down with your insulin and getting hungry, and it's not good. But I would say if you're going to have things frozen, use your own method. Get some of these self-sealing bags, some of these machines. These sealers are really good. I have one of those things, so when I bring my meat home, I seal them back up and make sure there's no air in them. It lasts a lot longer in the freezer or the refrigerator. So what are some of the other things here? Here is a whole bunch of highlights. Processed foods that may be bad for your health. Canned foods high in sodium or fat. Breads and pastas made with refined white flour instead of whole grains. Well, we disputed that last week, but I think the reason that they use the white flour in the pastas and stuff, there's more glue in there. There's more of the glutamate. There's more of that gluten in there. Packaged high-calorie snacks like chips and candies, of course, have MSG and other things and all these binders and everything. Frozen fish sticks and frozen dinners are often high in sodium. Packaged lunch meats often high in calories, fat, sodium, preservatives. Of course, the fat is not the good kind of fat that you really want for your energy. Packaged cakes and cookies, of course, on my diet, I don't have those at all. Boxed meal mixes are high in sodium, preservatives, and MSG, of course high in fat a lot of times too. And a lot of times when you're using these meats, of course, the type of meats that they're using in processed food is not going to be that pristine meat that we always talk about, the grass-fed. It's going to be the other kind. So the fat that's in there with the processed meat is going to be very high in omega-6 instead of the nice balance of omega-6 and omega-3. So that's the problem when they mention fat in here in the processed food. I'm thinking that's what they're talking about. The other thing, breakfast cereals are loaded, of course, with sugar. They're also loaded with lots of binders, and they're extruded and pressed out, a lot of these things. Corn flakes, you never seen a flake of corn, have you? If you smash a kernel of corn, it's not going to turn into a flake. This special process has to be made. High heat, extrusion, and chemicals make those things. Other processed foods like hot dogs, bologna, sausage, ham, things like that. So processed foods and prepackaged food are popular because they're often very easy. They're very convenient for us. Many people have forgotten or probably never learned that preparing natural food isn't as time-consuming or as difficult as processing food manufacturers and sellers would have you believe. All these ads are always saying, here, it's easy. Just stick it in the microwave or just open the can and eat it. They're talking about convenience here because we want to have people working, going to school, being busy all the time and going from thing to thing, and that means that we don't have time to eat properly. We need cans and things like that to make it easier for us, and this is what they're telling us, that this is the stuff you need to eat, and of course we don't think so. Okay, so are you literally processing the life out of your food? The more alive your food is, the more life force you'll get into your bodies and into your cells. So I guess the best way to demonstrate the unhealthiness of processed food is to discuss the nature of unprocessed food. So here's one example, a live plant. They contain chlorophyll, which is to plants like blood is to our bodies. Chlorophyll is considered the blood of the plant life, and this substance makes the plants green and carries energy to the plant. Hemoglobin is a substance that makes our blood red and carries energy in the form of oxygen to our bodies. The molecular structure of hemoglobin and chlorophyll are surprisingly similar and can explain why consumption of algae helps to increase our hemoglobin production, improves our oxygenation in our bodies, and is a fantastic source of iron. Probiotics are another type of health food. These are the opposite of antibiotics. Probiotics, like living occurring acidophilus, are found in yogurts and kefir fermented foods, and they encourage the growth and balance of friendly bacteria in the intestines necessary for good health. So the regular use of probiotics is something that will keep you pretty healthy, and even if you're traveling, it won't give you those types of situations where you're not feeling that well. So stick around, folks. We'll be right back. Please pick up the Health Signals newsletter. This issue 21, important to take a look at it. We'll be right back, folks.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to the show. So Paige is not in today, but we do have her on the phone. So let's see if we can get her. Paige, are you there?
I'm here. Well, Nick, sorry, but not feeling quite that good. And I didn't want to share the love with you, but I'm listening. And, kind of what you've been sharing today is really important. You and I always teach people food, it's what we do to the food.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You know, we can be, there's certain foods that when cooked are more digestible. If you,
Right.
Tibetan doctors or
Yeah, you're kind of cutting in and
Chinese
out. So
doctors.
why don't we do this? Why don't you call back?
Okay.
Call back and see if we
Yeah.
can get a better connection.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, guys. Well, either way, sorry I'm not there, and carry on. You're doing a good show.
Okay.
I'll listen
Thanks,
in.
Paige. Thanks for sticking in. Bye-bye. Okay, she was kind of cutting in and out there. Sounded like the cell phone. So I wanted to go over what are food binders. We talked a little bit about in the last section, but there are some things that you can use if you're binding food together, because a lot of times, you know, if you've ever eaten a sausage that's natural, if you open up the casing that it's in, it just kind of falls apart. But there are a lot of sausages that you can get, and you open that casing up, and the thing just kind of stays there. And that shows you that there's a lot of binders in there. Of course, if we're making the stuff ourselves and we want the food to look nice, we may use some binders that maybe not as bad as some of the things that they're using in the canning industry and the sausage industry, and trying to glue things together, make it look good and make it more presentable. So let's go over some of these. First thing is the egg. Egg leads the way is the most useful of binders because of their complex chemistry. The rich yolk contains natural emulsifiers such as lecithin, which bind water-based and fat-based ingredients together. Most of the time, if you have a water-based piece of food and a one based in fat, they don't combine very easy. So some of that extra fat in the egg yolk can help you do that. It helps create a smoother texture. The egg whites, which are rich in protein, coagulate during cooking and give you substance and structure to the finished food. So eggs can also lend richness and flavor in the right thing. So you adding this to your food can be helpful. Stick and starchy. Starch-based binders also play multiple roles in your food. Starches act by forming an invisible web that immobilizes liquid into sort of a gel, which in turn lends structure to your dish. It also keeps moisture in your food, another desirable result. Most starches can be used in this role, including bread and crackers and oatmeal and cooked rice and even plain old wheat flour. Of course, on our type of diet, we're not going to be using that. They'll take the moisture they need from your meat and other ingredients, so it's not the best to use in conjunction with eggs, dairy, or other binders. The dairy. It might not be the first option that springs to mind, but milk is also a useful binder. I remember my mother using milk in different pancakes and things like that to bind them together. Milk proteins, especially its casein proteins, coagulate during cooking in much the same way as the proteins in the egg whites. The milk liquids, for their part, add moisture and help activate the binding effort of starch-based ingredients. Evaporated milk, which contains less liquid, is therefore a higher percentage of protein, especially provides it's more effective adding protein to it. So there are things like gels and gums. If you need to avoid eggs and dairy for any dietary reasons, you need to look a little bit farther. And one of those alternative protein binders is gelatin, which works with foods that will be served cold or at room temperatures. Gum thickens such as gar gum and axanthin gum can also take over the use of the binding and often be used in this way for commercially manufactured food. Even common fiber supplements such as an insulin and psyllium, or not insulin, inulin, that's I-N-U-L-I-N, and psyllium, which can be useful. There's another one which is kind of an estrogen binder. I can't even pronounce these things. Which page was here for this? Anyway, there's all kinds of things that you can use to bind these things together, and you really have to be careful in the processed food. I have another article here that's pretty interesting, and it says here 15 food companies that would serve you wood. This is pretty cool. So Taco Bell has many Americans eating wood. The chief among the concerns is the use of cellulose, which is wood pulp, an extender used in the in a lot of the foods, from crackers to ice creams to puddings to baked goods, and certainly in the tacos that they come from Taco Bell is used. So there are a lot of companies here in the fast food industry that they mention. I'm not going to mention them all, but pretty much all of the fast food industry is using these types of cellulose, which is pieces of wood. And I think if you're going to use a type of binder like that, I would say psyllium is probably the least objective to it, because they're small, they're not even really seeds, they're these little small kind of seedy things, and they have these little hooks on them. They bind to things, so they can make things bind together very easily. Let's see if there's anything more on this here, but I would say just stay away from any kind of processed foods at all. There's another thing that is being used in the industry, and it's called meat glue. The so-called meat glue enzyme is used by the meat industry to add value to meat by gluing tougher, smaller scraps into a larger chunk. And it's not just used to make fake steak. The American Meat Institute estimates that it's used in about 8 million pounds of meat each year in the United States. This binder, transglutaminase, can be used to cross-link pieces of any type of meat, fish, or meat product, and hence can be used to provide large chunks of virtually intact-looking meat or fish out of small meat or fish cuttings. When researchers actually tested this, they had 20 samples of meat from the supermarket, and they found the meat glue in 2 of these samples, a sample of salmon and a sample of turkey. So these are things they use together. There's a lot of types of little scraps of meat that the food industry can use. Instead of discarding it, they'll use it. It doesn't look great, but when you bind them together with things like this, they start to look pretty good. Even if you use a little bit of milk or some egg solids in it, it'll kind of smooth it out so it does look like one piece. So think of the fake crab that you see in the store. It looks like a nice big piece of crab when actually it was probably more like sawdust or chunks of pieces that were kind of glued together. This raises some safety concerns. There is a risk that otherwise discarded leftovers of questionable microbial quality could find their way in the reconstructed meat, and that really does make sense. One can actually take a microscope and see the introduced E. coli along the glue lines where meat pieces were attached together. This shows the reconstruction process can really add fecal matter, E. coli, all kinds of things in the food, and it does, it's going through this heating process, so a lot of it can be killed, but it's hidden deep into that piece of meat. It's not going to be destroyed, and then of course you're going to have problems. Stick around, folks. I'd like to remind you to pick up our Health Signals newsletter and our Primal Edge. Health Signals newsletter comes twice a month for only $10, $5 an issue. It's a real bargain. Lots of good stuff in there. Pick it up, folks. I'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back to the show. Paige is out today. She's not feeling well, so I'm taking over, but she's going to be back Thursday, I'm sure, because she gets healthy pretty fast. So we're talking really about binders and things that are in our processed food that potentially can cause really problems for us. I have a picture up here on the telestrator, and you can see that the food on the left contain naturally occurring fibers that are intrinsic in plants. The foods on the right contain insulated fibers such as chicory root, which are extracted and added to processed food. The FDA will determine whether added fibers can count as dietary fibers or not. And what counts as dietary fibers, that's really up to the debate, they say. The Food and Drug Administration is reviewing 26 ingredients that food companies use to bulk up the fiber content of processed foods to determine if there's a health benefit. Of course, there's a lot of material out there on the web and in different books about fiber and how it's good for you and that we need it and you need more fiber in your diet. We've also, Paige and I have talked about articles from Ben Greenfield and other people that we listen to saying that fiber is not really that important. The important is the ingredients in the food and how fast your body can process it. The faster your body can process something, in most instances, it's better for you. The only instance it wouldn't be better for you is some kind of sugary drink like a soda or some juices that will spike your insulin. And even some people can take those things and not spike their insulin. So it depends on whether it does or not. And the way you can tell, you drink a glass of orange juice and an hour or two later you get very hungry. That shows you that your sugar went up when you drank it, and then it starts coming down, and now all of a sudden you're not don't have access to that stuff that you drank because your body is so busy storing it. Remember, your body thinks of sugar as a assailant, almost something that it doesn't want, so it has to get rid of it. And the only way your body can do that is process it real fat, shoot it out the back end, or in the case of sugar, most of the time it'll bind it together inside the insulin cell, push it into a fat cell, and it'll stay there. Meanwhile, your whole body is not burning fat at all because it can't, because it's too busy storing it. And even after your body is through storing that particular thing, it's not going to switch over to, or has a very difficult time switching back to try to get the ingredients of the fat to be used as ketones, which is their way of converting it so it can be used as energy. It cannot do this until you've eaten some kind of balanced meal, and for everybody that may be a little bit different, but basically it's searching for fuel. It can't search out the fat, so the only thing it can search out is the sugar, which is just stored in your body, so it can't access that either. Now it's calling to you, I'm hungry, please feed me, you haven't fed me. So this is the way, the kind of the situation that we're in. Remember, in the United States here, we're eating 90% of our food as carbohydrates, and a lot of those carbohydrates spike your insulin, and that insulin is going to protect your body, and so it's going to try to store as much of this poison as possible, or try to get rid of it as much as possible, and that shuts off that fat burning. So you're not going to get rid of that fat. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be miserable. So start eating right. So the Food and Drug Administration is reviewing 26 ingredients. So if you're a nutrition label reader, the list includes some familiar sounding ingredients, such as inulin, which I had never heard of before, which is a sourced chicory root. Other ingredients that count as fiber would be the gum acacia and bamboo fiber, retrograded cornstarch, and there's a whole bunch of stuff here I can't pronounce, of course. Some of these fiber are extracted from plant sources, while some of them are even synthetic. The food industry has hijacked the advice of many nutritionalists and the FDA to eat more fiber, and by putting in isolated, heavy processed fiber into what we're actually eating, and we consider this nothing but junk food, says the author here, which is Bonnie Liebman of the Consumer Group for Center for Science in the Public Interest. A bunch of packaged foods contain added fiber. For example, included in Fiber One bars, some cereal, some instant oatmeal, some pasta, and some English muffins have a lot of these high fiber types of ingredients that you may not want in your body. A grape juice with resistance maltodextrin has added fiber. A banana, which contains natural fibers and other nutrients. Oh, they have a picture here. Let's see if I can get to this thing here. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can. Got this picture on here, but I can't seem to get rid of it. Let me see if I can. Aha. No, I lost it completely. Oh well, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but if you can't get to it, it's not. What they have a picture of here is the grape juice, which has added fiber in it, and a banana, which has natural occurring things. Not a good example, really, if I'm looking at it, because then what we're talking about is two things that can probably spike your insulin. Certainly banana can, depending if what you're eating with it. So the FDA lists a range of health benefits linked to dietary fiber. For instance, fiber can help you lower your blood glucose levels and your cholesterol levels, as well as your blood pressure. Fiber can also aid as laxation in your bowel function, so it can promote a feeling of fullness, which many people will eat less. But in the scenario of having this orange juice or something like that, even if it has a little bit of fiber in it, it's going to spike your insulin, and the fiber is going to be pretty much meaningless, I think. So let's see, the food industry has weighed in, pointed to demonstrate benefits of having fiber. So this is what they're using to promote this. He says most people don't consume enough fiber, so if we can supplement these snacks with some fiber, this is going to be good for everybody. So highly processed snack bars typically contain combinations of processed starches and added sugar, the low in vitamins and minerals. You know, all this type of junk food, all this processed food is going to be much less, and when I say much less, probably I'm talking about 75% less of the ingredients that you would have in their natural food, even if that natural food isn't the pristine food that I would want to eat. You know, think about the pastured animals, or think about some organic type of vegetables that I would be eating. So once you process them, about 75% of those good ingredients are kind of wasted in the process because of the heating, because of what they're binding it with, the glue that they're using. The sources of some of these good things, like the eggs and the milk, may not be good sources in the manufacturing process. They're going to be using probably the cheapest type of sources as possible. So do I eat processed food? Sure. Once in a while we do go out to eat. I never really go to a fast food chain. But, when we go out to eat, we're kind of stuck with what we eat, so very picky. So my suggestion to you, if you do go out to eat, start eliminating things, make it as simple as possible. Usually what I do is eat a piece of meat, have a couple of vegetables, if the restaurant has vegetables, because most of the time they'll serve you some kind of squash, which of course is a nightshade, can be problems. And problems with nightshades, what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is of course the skin has those lectins in it and also the seeds in there. So that's why maybe if you're Italian, you always watched your grandmother peeling those tomatoes and taking the seeds out before she puts them in the spaghetti sauce. That's why. They knew back then what we don't know today. Stick around, folks. We've got another segment coming up. I'll get it together here sooner or later. Primal Edge, please pick it up. It's all powered by fulvic and humic acid, and this one really makes it work. Gets the good stuff in and takes the good stuff, the bad stuff out. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of The Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. If you'd like to be the bank and get the type of interest they receive instead of the low interest rates they give to clients, then I have an investment you may want to take a look at. I'm offering 4-year secured first mortgages on buildable city lots in St. Petersburg, Florida. The investment can be anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000 per buildable city lot. The interest paid is 7% per year, paid monthly. Depending on the investment, the income per month per lot ranged from $175 for a $30,000 investment to $437.50 for a $75,000 investment. If you are in the CD market, you want to look at this investment. St. Petersburg is located in Pinellas County, which is the densest county in Florida. If you're looking for an investment with your principal intact that pays a good interest rate, this may be for you. The supply is limited, so act now. For more information on these secured first mortgage opportunities, you can call me at 877-518-9190. That's 877-518-9190.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And welcome back, folks. The last little segment here. I had a question in the chat room on Primal Edge. If you're traveling for a week or less, can you take some of the unrefrigerated, put it like in a glass container? You can actually keep it in that container. What I would do is take a full bottle with you while you're traveling and then open it up and stick it in the small refrigerator in the room if you have it, or just try to keep it as cool as possible. Shouldn't hurt you. Just don't let it be exposed to heat, and that's what could kill it, of course. Here's a article that I found kind of validates some of my daydreaming that I did in the class. The teacher was always saying, Nico, pay attention here. I'm daydreaming. I'm thinking of going outside, going in the woods or skiing out the back of the school, what I did in elementary school when I was living up in Sudbury. And this article says, daydreaming is good. It means you're smart. Brain studies suggest mind watering at work and home may not be as bad as you think. So a new study from the Georgia Institute of Technology suggests that daydreaming during meetings isn't necessarily a bad thing. Your boss wouldn't like it for sure, but it shows that you're really smart and creative. People with efficient brains may have too much brain capacity to stop their minds from wandering. Eric Shoemaker was the associate professor there, and his students and colleagues, including lead author Christine Godwin, measured the brain patterns of more than 100 people while they lay in an MRI machine. Participants were instructed to focus on a stationary fixation point for 5 minutes. The correlation with brain regions gave us insight about which areas of the brain work together during an awake, resting state. Interesting research has suggested that these brain patterns measured during the states are related to their different cognitive abilities. Once they figured out how the brain works together at rest, the team prepared data with tests. The participants measured their intellect and the team compared the data with tests that participants that measured their intellectual and creative abilities. They were filling out a questionnaire on how much their mind wandered during their daily life. People think of mind wandering as something that is bad. You're trying to pay attention, but you can't. Our data are consistent with the idea that isn't always true. Some people have more effective brains. So they say the smarter you are, the more you're likely to wander off at certain times. Kind of like the absent-minded professor, perhaps, type of thing. So, good. That means maybe I was smarter than they thought I was in school. They always did say that I was smarter than I'm making out. In other words, I didn't apply fully because I was too much of a class clown and things like that. And I was especially elementary school, beginning of high school, and then I started getting a little more serious about it. And when I got serious about it, things came pretty easy. So I was glad I went through that dreaming state because I still dream a lot. I still daydream. And here it's saying this is pretty good. So I don't know. What do you daydream about? I daydream about going on vacation most of the time, So anyway, that's pretty much the show. I want to remind you a couple of things. First of all, of course, our Primal Edge. This is a product that Paige and I spent about a year researching, trying to get the correct manufacturer. So if you really are interested in improving your health and using something that's going to actually help you on a daily basis, Primal Edge is that thing. It has humic and fulvic acid. It helps get the good stuff in, take the bad stuff out. So it's really important to know that these vitamins are going to be working for you. No use throwing all this stuff in your body and then just having it discarding when you go to the bathroom. That doesn't make any sense. So this is why we invented the Primal Edge. This is why we formulated the way we did, and use nothing else but the Primal Edge. You're going to be in really good shape. Other things you can use naturally too. The other thing is, remind you that the Health Signals newsletter is out twice a month, on the first and the third Tuesday of every month. So please pick that up. It's $10, $5 an issue. Pretty cheap. Thanks a lot for sticking around, folks. Paige will be with me, I hope, on Thursday, and I hope you have a couple of good days. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.